The arena was filled with the roar of 1,000 voices. Bright lights lit up the stands, where creatures of various shapes and sizes cheered and jeered as they waited for the next brutal match to begin. The air was thick with excitement and tension, but underneath the arena, in the dark, damp shadows, lay a different story. Here, a young woman named Lyra was chained, her heart heavy with sadness and longing. Lyra had once been a fierce warrior, proud and strong, but now she felt weak and trapped. Days blurred into nights as she waited for someone to notice her, someone to save her from the cold, dark chains that bound her. She thought of the world above, the vibrant life she had once known, and the people she missed dearly. Most of all, she thought of Ethan. Ethan was a human gladiator, a fighter known for his courage and skill. He had always been there for her, supporting her during their training and standing by her side in battle. But since her capture, they had been separated, and the distance between them felt like an unbridgeable chasm. Every day, Lyra wondered if he was still fighting, still hoping, or if he had given up on her Dot as she sat in her cell. The sounds of the crowd above echoed in her mind. She could almost imagine Ethan there, battling for his life and glory, but it felt like a cruel joke. The more she thought about him, the heavier her heart became. She wanted to reach out to him, to let him know she was still alive and fighting in her own way. But how could she? She was trapped in a place where hope seemed to have vanished. Lyra closed her eyes and remembered the last time she had seen Ethan. They were training together, pushing each other to be better. They shared dreams of freedom, of a world where humans could stand tall among the stars. "I'll always be there for you," he had said, his voice strong and reassuring. Those words echoed in her mind, giving her a flicker of hope. But now, as she sat alone in the darkness, she wondered if he still believed that. Meanwhile, in the arena above, Ethan was preparing for his next match. The crowd was wild, eager for blood and violence, but Ethan's mind was elsewhere. He thought of Lyra, his friend, his ally, and the woman he cared for deeply. He felt the weight of her absence, like a heavy stone in his chest. Each time he stepped into the arena, he fought not just for survival, but for her, for the chance to rescue her from the chains that bound her Dot as he faced his opponent, a massive alien creature with sharp claws and a vicious growl. Ethan's thoughts drifted to Lyra. He imagined her fierce spirit, her laughter, and the way she had always pushed him to be better. "I can't let her down," he whispered to himself as the fight began. The crowd roared, but Ethan fought with a new intensity, fueled by his determination to save her. After a brutal battle, Ethan emerged victorious, bloodied but alive. Cheers of the crowd rang in his ears, but they felt distant and hollow. As he stood in the center of the arena, he realized that each match brought him no closer to Lyra. He needed a plan, a way to reach her and break the chains that held her captive. That night, as he lay in his small quarters, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling of desperation. He thought of the dark corridors beneath the arena, the guards that patrolled them, and the chains that bound Lyra. "I have to find her," he said aloud, determination flooding through him. He began to formulate a plan, one that would take. Every ounce of strength and cunning he possessed. Days turned into weeks, and with each passing moment, Ethan's longing for Lyra grew stronger. He gathered information about the arena, learning every detail about its layout and the guards' routines. Each night he trained harder, pushing his body to the limits, preparing for the moment he would make his move. He couldn't let fear stop him. He had to believe in their bond, in their shared dreams of freedom. Finally, the day came when Ethan felt ready. He slipped into the shadows of the arena, his heart pounding in his chest. The guards were distracted by the celebrations above, and he used that opportunity to sneak down into the dark depths of the arena. As he moved quietly through the corridors, He felt a sense of purpose guiding him. He would not let Lyra stay chained any longer. After what felt like an eternity, he found her cell. The sight of her, weak but still fierce, ignited a fire within him. "Lyra," he called softly, rushing to her side. She looked up, her eyes widening in disbelief. "Ethan?" she whispered, her voice trembling with hope. He quickly worked to free her, his hands shaking with urgency. As the chains fell away, Lyra stood before him, her spirit rekindled. "I thought I'd never see you again," she said, tears of relief streaming down her face. Ethan smiled, feeling a warmth spread through him. "I promised I would come for you, didn't I?" Suddenly, the alarms blared, shattering their moment of reunion. They had to move quickly. As they raced through the corridors, Ethan and Lyra fought back to back against the guards who tried to stop them. With each victory, they felt their bond grow stronger, their hope igniting like a flame in the darkness. Finally, they burst through the exit and into the night. The stars above shone brightly, reminding them of the dreams they once shared. Together, they had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. They were no longer chained. They were free, ready to reclaim their future. As they stood together, gazing at the endless sky, Ethan felt a surge of hope. They were no longer alone. They had each other. Together, they would fight for their place among the stars, breaking the chains of oppression and inspiring others to do the same. In that moment, beneath the vast universe, Ethan and Lyra knew that they were free. They had forged a new path, one filled with hope and the promise of a better tomorrow. No longer bound by chains, they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, united in their fight for freedom and love. After their escape from the arena, Lyra and Ethan found themselves in a hidden safe house, far from the chaos of the intergalactic arena. It was a small, dimly lit room with bare walls and a rickety table. They were safe, but the weight of their past still lingered, especially for Lyra. As she sat on the edge of the bed, Lyra stared at the floor, lost in her thoughts. The freedom they had fought so hard to achieve felt fragile, like a delicate flower in a storm. She had imagined this moment for so long, dreamed of being free again. But now that they were out, she felt a strange emptiness inside. The chains were gone, but the scars of her captivity remained. Ethan, sensing her distance, approached her gently. "Hey," he said softly, sitting beside her, "you okay?" Lyra looked up, her heart aching. "I should be, but I feel lost," she admitted. "It's like everything I fought for is here, but I don't know how to move forward. I can't shake the feeling that I'm still chained in some way." Ethan nodded, understanding her pain. "I get it. We've been through so much, and it's hard to just jump back into life. But we're free now, and we can rebuild. We can find a way to reconnect with the world." Lyra wanted to believe him, but the fear of being hurt again loomed large. What if it's not enough? What if we can't find a place where we belong? She asked, her voice trembling. Ethan took her hand, warmth spreading between them. "We have each other. That's a start. We can't change the past, but we can shape our future together." His words sparked a glimmer of hope in Lyra's heart. She thought about their shared dreams of freedom and adventure. They had always fought side by side, believing in a better future. "I wish I could just forget everything that happened," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "You don't have to forget," Ethan replied. "Those experiences made us who we are. We can use them to help others. We can inspire those who are still trapped, just like we were." Lyra looked into Ethan's eyes, seeing the determination and passion there. She remembered how he had fought against impossible odds to save her, and it filled her with courage. "You're right. We can't let our past define us. We can turn our pain into strength." Encouraged by her own words, Lyra stood up, feeling a newfound sense of purpose. Let's find a way to help others, to show them that freedom is possible. We can be a beacon of hope for those still chained. Ethan smiled, his eyes shining with pride. That's the spirit. We'll need to gather resources and allies. We can't do this alone. With renewed energy, they set out to explore the nearby town. It was strange to be in a place that felt both familiar and foreign. The streets were quiet, and the air was filled with the scent of fresh bread from a corner. Nearby bakery. As they walked, Lyra felt a mix of emotions: fear, excitement, and hope. They visited a local bar, where rumors of rebellion against the alien oppressors circulated among the patrons. Lyra and Ethan listened carefully, absorbing every detail. They learned about other humans who had escaped, who were still fighting for their freedom. Each story ignited a fire in Lyra's heart, reminding her that they were not alone. After a long day of gathering information, they returned to the safe house. Lyra felt a sense of belonging she hadn't felt in a long time. We have to reach out to the others, she said, her voice brimming with determination. We can't let them suffer alone. Ethan nodded, his expression serious. We'll need to be careful. The alien overlords will be looking for us. We can't let them catch wind of our plans. That night, as they sat together at the rickety table, Lyra felt a warmth she hadn't known in her darkest days. It was more than just the comfort of being free. It was the bond they shared, the strength they found in each other. They began to draw up plans, mapping out their strategy for reaching. As days passed in their safe house, the bond between Lyra and Ethan grew stronger. They worked tirelessly, forming connections with other survivors and building a resistance against the alien oppressors. Lyra felt a fire within her, a sense of purpose that had been missing for too long. Yet despite the joy of her newfound freedom and the camaraderie of their growing group, a nagging sense of distance still lingered in her heart. Every time she thought about her friends from before, those who had once filled her life with laughter and warmth, she felt a pang of sadness. They were scattered across the galaxy now, each living their own life while she fought to build a new one. The letters she had written had brought some comfort, but they could not replace the closeness they once shared. One evening, after a long day of planning and strategizing, Lyra sat alone in the small room they used as a meeting space. She watched Ethan as he spoke with a group of new recruits, his passion evident in his every word. He was a natural leader, inspiring hope in those around him. But as she observed him, she felt an ache in her heart. She wanted to share her dreams with him, to connect on a deeper level, but the distance she felt was like an invisible barrier. Lyra, are you okay? Ethan's voice broke through her thoughts as he approached her. He had noticed her silence and concern etched on her face. She sighed, looking up at him. I'm fine, just thinking, she replied, forcing a smile. I love what we're doing, but I can't shake the feeling that something is missing. Ethan sat beside her, his expression warm and understanding. You've been through so much. It's natural to feel this way, especially after everything that's happened. I miss my friends, she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. I want to reach out to them, but I don't know how. It feels like they're so far away, and I'm afraid they've moved on without me. Ethan took her hand, squeezing it gently. You can reconnect with them, Lyra. It's not too late. We've already taken the first step by sharing our stories. We can send more letters, or even try to arrange a way to meet them. You're not alone in this. Lyra looked into his eyes, feeling a flicker of hope. You really think they'd want to hear from me? After all this time? Absolutely, he said firmly. They care about you. You were an important part of their lives, and you still are. You just have to take that leap and reach out. Encouraged by his words, Lyra decided to write again. This time, she poured her heart into her letter, sharing her feelings of loss, her fears, and her hope for the future. She wrote about their fight for freedom and how much she wanted to reconnect with the people she loved. As she finished the letter, she felt lighter, as if the weight of her worries had begun to lift. The next day, Ethan suggested they send the letters through a reliable contact they had made in the town. "This person can help us reach your friends safely," he explained. "It's a small step, but it might open doors for more connections." With a mix of excitement and anxiety, Lyra agreed. They took the letters to their contact, a kind-hearted woman named Mira, who had survived her own battles. Mira promised to deliver the letters with care, and as she walked away, Lyra felt a surge of hope. Days turned into weeks, and Lyra found herself caught between the excitement of their resistance efforts and the longing for her old friends. She threw herself into the work, helping to train new recruits and strategize their next moves. But in quiet moments, she would often think of the people she missed, wondering if they were okay and if they still thought of her. Then one evening, as the sun began to set, a figure appeared at the doorway of the safe house. Lyra was in the middle of a training session when she turned to see who had entered. Her heart skipped a beat as she recognized the familiar face. Lyra. It was Myra, but she wasn't alone. Behind her stood several of Lyra's old friends, their faces filled with joy and relief. Surprise. Myra called out, grinning widely. "I delivered your letters, and they came as fast as they could." Lyra's heart soared as she rushed forward to embrace her friends. Tears of happiness streamed down her face as she held them close. "I can't believe you're here," she exclaimed, overwhelmed with emotion. "I missed you all so much." "We missed you too," one of her friends, Selfie, said, her voice thick with emotion. "When we heard what you were doing, we couldn't just sit back. We had to come and help." The warmth of their reunion filled the room, and for the first time in a long while, Lyra felt truly connected. She introduced them to Ethan, who welcomed them with open arms. Together, they shared stories of their struggles, their victories, and their hopes for the future. As the night wore on and they gathered around a table filled with food and laughter, Lyra realized that the distance she had felt was finally fading away. Her friends were here, standing beside her in the fight for freedom. They were together again, united by their shared dreams and experiences. "Lyra, you're incredible," Ethan said, looking at her with admiration. "You brought them here. You reached out, and look what it led to." Lyra smiled, feeling a sense of pride swell within her. "I couldn't have done it without you, Ethan. You believed in me when I was struggling." "Together, we're stronger," he replied. "This is just the beginning. With all of us working together, we can make a real difference." As they planned their next steps for the resistance, Lyra felt a renewed sense of purpose. She no longer felt distant from her past. Instead, she embraced it as part of her journey. The chains of fear and loneliness that had once bound her were shattered, replaced by hope and connection. With her friends by her side, she knew they could face any challenge. They would fight for their freedom, not just for themselves, but for everyone who had ever felt chained by fear or despair. Together, they were a force to be reckoned with, ready to reclaim their place in the stars. As the night came to a close, they stepped outside to gaze at the vast sky above. The stars twinkled brightly, a reminder of the endless possibilities before them. Lyra felt a sense of belonging, knowing that she was no longer alone. They were a family, united in their fight for hope, freedom, and a brighter future. In that moment, Lyra realized that they had all been chained in different ways, but now they were free. They were ready to forge a new path, one filled with love, courage, and the unwavering belief that together they could overcome anything. And as she stood with Ethan and her friends, she knew they were destined to make their mark on the universe. Asterisk. The days following the reunion with her friends were filled with energy and determination. Lyra felt a renewed sense of purpose as she stood alongside Ethan and her old friends, ready to fight for their freedom. They had formed a strong team, each person bringing unique skills and ideas to the table. Yet, as they planned their next moves, Lyra couldn't shake a lingering feeling of distance, not just from her past, but from the very people she had just welcomed back into her life. Despite their shared goal and camaraderie, there were moments when Lyra felt like an outsider. Her friends were excited to be part of the resistance, and they eagerly discussed strategies and plans. But sometimes, when they laughed and shared memories from the past, she felt a pang of sadness. She wanted to be fully present, to reconnect with them on a deeper level, but she worried that her experiences had changed her too much. One evening, while the group was gathered to discuss their next mission, Lyra sat quietly at the edge of the table. Ethan noticed her silence and leaned closer. "Hey, you okay?" he asked gently. Lyra forced a smile. "I'm fine, just thinking." "About what?" he pressed, concern in his eyes. "I guess I just feel a bit out of place sometimes," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "I love having them back, but I worry they don't see me the same way anymore. I feel like the experiences I went through in the arena have changed me." Ethan reached out, taking her hand. "You've been through so much, Lyra, but that doesn't change who you are inside. Your friends care about you. They see the strength in you that you might not see in yourself." Lyra nodded, but doubt still lingered in her heart. "What? If they only see me as a fighter now? What if they don't remember the fun times we had, the laughter we shared?" Ethan smiled, his eyes full of understanding. "Then remind them. Share your stories. Let them see the real you, the you who fought not just in the arena, but also in your heart. You're still the same person. You just have more strength and experience now." His words resonated with her, but Lyra still felt hesitant. The next day, as they prepared for their mission to gather more allies, she decided to take Ethan's advice to heart. She would share her stories, her laughter, and her dreams with her friends. It was time to reconnect and bridge the gap she felt between them. As they set out on their mission, the group worked together seamlessly. They visited nearby towns, meeting with other survivors and spreading the word about their resistance. Each time they spoke, Lyra felt a little more like herself. She shared her experiences, not just the battles, but also the moments of joy she had cherished before everything changed. One afternoon, they stopped at a small cafe in a quiet village. As they sat around the table, sipping drinks and discussing their next steps, Lyra decided to share a funny memory from their training days. "Remember that time we tried to sneak in late for practice?" she began, her voice filled with warmth. "We thought we were so clever, but we ended up tripping over each other and knocking over the training dummies." The days rolled into weeks as Lyra and her friends continued their fight against the alien oppressors. Their small resistance had grown, and they were making real progress. New faces joined their cause, each person bringing hope and determination. Yet, amid the victories and camaraderie, Lyra still felt an undercurrent of sadness. Even though she was surrounded by friends, a part of her still longed for a deeper connection, especially with those she had lost touch with. After their successful mission to liberate the captives, Lyra had felt a rush of joy and purpose. But as the days passed, she found herself thinking more about her old friends, those who had been part of her life before everything changed. She missed their laughter, their support, and the simple moments they had shared. It was as if a piece of her heart was still chained to the past. One evening, as they gathered in the safe house to plan their next move, Lyra sat quietly at the table. Ethan noticed her pensive expression and pulled up a chair beside her. "Hey, what's on your mind?" he asked softly. Lyra sighed, looking down at the table. "I've been thinking about my old friends again. It's hard to move forward when I feel so distant from them." Ethan nodded, his expression sympathetic. "It's understandable. You've been through a lot, but you're not alone anymore. You have us, and we're all in this together." "I know," Lyra replied, her voice tinged with sadness. "But I can't help but feel like I need to reconnect with them. I want them to know I'm okay, that I'm fighting for something bigger now." "Then let's make it happen," Ethan said, determination shining in his eyes. "We can use our connections to reach out. We can send messages or even try to arrange a meeting. You deserve to feel whole again." His words sparked a flicker of hope within Lyra. She realized that she had the power to bridge the gap between her past and present. With renewed determination, she decided to reach out to her friends. "Okay, let's do it," she said, feeling a sense of purpose returning. The following day, they gathered materials to send messages to her old friends. Lyra wrote heartfelt letters, sharing her journey, her struggles, and her triumphs since their last connection. She poured her emotions onto the pages, hoping to convey the depth of her feelings. As she wrote, she felt lighter, as if the act of reaching out was freeing her from the chains of distance. Once the letters were ready, they contacted Mira, their trusted ally, who promised to help send them safely. "I'll make sure they reach your friends," she assured Lyra. "You're doing the right thing." With each passing day, Lyra felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. She was eager to hear back, but worried about how her friends would react. Would they still care? Would they understand the changes she had gone through? The uncertainty gnawed at her, but she reminded herself of Ethan's words. "You're not alone anymore." A week later, a response finally arrived. Myra handed Lyra a small bundle of letters, and as she opened them, her heart raced. The first letter was from Sophie, her closest friend from before everything changed. "Dear Lyra," it began, "I can't tell you how happy I am to hear from you. I've been so worried about you. When I heard about your fight against the aliens, I was in awe. You've always been so strong. I miss you and can't wait to see you again. Let's meet soon." Tears filled Lyra's eyes as she read Sophie's words. The warmth of their friendship washed over her. She opened the next letter, this one from another friend, Jake. "Lyra, I can't believe you're alive. I knew you had come back fighting. I want to join you. Let's plan a reunion." Lyra's heart soared. Her friends still cared about her. They remembered the good times. They wanted to reconnect and support her in this fight. She rushed to find Ethan, her excitement bubbling over. "Ethan, look!" she exclaimed, holding the letters tightly. They wrote back, "They want to see me." Ethan smiled, his eyes shining with pride. "That's amazing, Lyra. This is what you needed. You've built a bridge to your past, and it's leading you back to them." Lyra felt a rush of gratitude for Ethan's unwavering support. "I want to arrange a meeting. I want them to see what we're doing here. I want them to be part of this fight." "Let's make it happen," Ethan said, his determination infectious. "We can organize a gathering here in a few days. We'll show them what we've built together." With a plan in place, Lyra and Ethan worked hard to prepare for the reunion. They transformed the safe house into a welcoming space, setting up a large table filled with food and drinks. They wanted to create an atmosphere where everyone felt comfortable and connected. On the day of the reunion, Lyra felt a mix of excitement and nerves. She stood by the door, waiting for her friends to arrive. When the first familiar faces appeared, her heart swelled with joy. Sophie rushed forward, enveloping Lyra in a warm embrace. "I can't believe we're finally together again," she exclaimed as more friends arrived, the room filled with laughter and chatter. They shared stories, reminiscing about their past adventures and the times they had laughed together. Lyra felt the distance she had once feared melting away. In this moment, she was not just a fighter. She was a friend, a sister, and a part of something bigger. As the evening progressed, they all gathered around the table. Lyra stood up, feeling compelled to address everyone. I know we've all faced our own struggles, but I want you to know how much it means to have you here. We fought hard for our freedom, but we can't do it alone. I need you all by my side. Her friends nodded, their expressions serious yet filled with determination. Sophie spoke up first. We're with you, Lyra. We want to fight alongside you. You've shown us what it means to be brave. The room erupted in cheers, and Lyra felt a surge of hope and strength. They were united, not just as fighters, but as friends who cared for one another. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the night came to a close, Lyra felt a profound sense of belonging. The chains of distance had been broken, replaced by the bonds of friendship and shared purpose. She realized that reconnecting with her friends was not just about the past. It was about building a future together. In that moment, beneath the stars that twinkled above the safe house, Lyra knew they were ready to face the battles ahead. They were no longer alone. They were a family united by hope, courage, and the unbreakable bonds of friendship. Together, they would fight for their freedom and reclaim their place in the universe. And as she looked around at the faces of her friends, Lyra felt a warmth in her heart, knowing that they were all part of something greater than themselves. The reunion with her friends filled Lyra with joy and hope. But as the days went by, the weight of their mission began to settle in. They had made significant progress in their fight against the alien oppressors, but Lyra still felt a faint echo of distance, especially when she thought about the friends who had not yet joined them. She wanted everyone she cared about to stand together, united in this fight for freedom. One evening, after a long day of planning and training, Lyra sat on the edge of her bed, staring out at the stars. The night sky was beautiful, but it also reminded her of the friends she had lost touch with, the ones who were still far away, living their lives while she fought for a cause that felt both empowering and isolating. Ethan noticed her silence and approached her. "Hey, you okay?" he asked, concern evident in his voice. "I'm just thinking," Lyra replied. "I'm so grateful for everyone who's here, but I can't help but worry about those who aren't. What if they're in trouble? What if they've given up hope?" Ethan sat down beside her. "You've already taken the first step by reaching out to your friends. They care about you and will want to help. We can reach out to others too. You're not alone in this." Lyra sighed, feeling a mix of gratitude and anxiety. "I want to believe that, but what if I can't reach the others? What if they don't want to join us?" "You won't know unless you try," Ethan encouraged. "Let's send more messages. We can spread the word about what we're doing here. We need all the help we can get." Feeling inspired by Ethan's words, Lyra decided to take action. The next day, she gathered her friends and shared her idea. "We should send messages to everyone we know," she said, her voice steady. "We can let them know we're fighting for freedom and that they're welcome to join us." Sophie, one of her closest friends, nodded enthusiastically. "I love that idea. We can write letters, and we can also use the communication devices we've gathered. This is our chance to reach out to everyone." With renewed energy, the group divided tasks. They wrote heartfelt messages detailing their struggle against the alien forces, sharing their dreams of freedom and the importance of unity. They spoke of the victories they had achieved and the strength they had found in each other. As they worked together, Lyra felt a sense of purpose. Each letter was not just a message. It was a lifeline thrown to those who might feel lost. She remembered the feeling of isolation she had experienced and wanted to ensure that no one else felt that way. After a few days of preparing, they were ready to send out their messages. Lyra Their trusted ally volunteered to help. "I'll make sure these reach your friends safely," she promised. "You're doing something incredible, Lyra. Your strength is inspiring." With a heart full of hope, Lyra watched as Mira left. With the letters, she felt excited yet nervous. Would her friends respond? Would they want to come back into her life? The uncertainty loomed over her, but she pushed it aside, focusing instead on the work.